Hey, it's Dylan at ClearBridge, and today we're going to go over Zoom. Zoom is an awesome meeting app that's got a ton of functionality. We could really get in the weeds with this, but we're going to start you off with just a basic tutorial of how to use the app and how to get configured. Today we're going to cover how to start a new meeting, so to host a meeting. We're going to cover how to join a meeting. We are also going to learn how to schedule our own meeting and how to share our screen with everyone. We're also going to get a little bit into the weeds as far as some of the functionality once you're in a meeting and how to run a meeting as a host as well. So stick with me and let's get started. All right, the first thing we want to do is open up our Zoom app on our taskbar. Once we have our Zoom app open, we are defaulted to the home screen, where we'll see a number of things that we can navigate to. On the top menu, you'll see 4 tabs: your home tab, chat, meetings, contacts, a search bar, and your profile avatar. Let's quickly run through these just so you get a lay of the land. Our chat screen is where we can send chat messages to people in our network, our contacts. Our meeting is where we can see upcoming meetings. Our contacts is a list of our contacts, including your company directory if you have one. Search bar is just that. And then our profile avatar is right on the far right. Once we click on our profile avatar, we will see a number of things that we can edit and we can navigate to. One being settings, which will take us online. We have our status setting, whether we're available, away, or we want to set it to do not disturb, and we can set times for those. We can click on our profile, which will open up a browser tab online with our profile settings in Zoom. We can try some top features. We can go to help if we have any issues, check for updates, and a few other things here: switching accounts, signing out, and purchasing a Zoom license. Let's go back home now. So the home interface is going to probably be your most important interface that you're going to use while you're using Zoom. This is where we can start a new meeting, we can join meetings, we can schedule meetings, and we can share our screen right off the hop. So let's get into it. Okay, one last thing I want to just quickly cover is settings. Now, Zoom gives you a lot of settings, so I'm not going to go through all of them painstakingly, but just know that this gear icon on the top right corner here of your home screen is where you can get to your settings. You can also get it on your avatar, button, and settings right there. So there's a lot of settings in your Zoom setting options folder. You've got a bunch of different tabs, everything from general to keyboard shortcuts. There's a lot you can do and a lot you can adjust with settings. So if you're having any issues at all, check your settings. If you want to configure your video or your audio or your share screen options, there's a lot of options here in your settings tab. So run through those, and if you have any questions, again, please don't hesitate to ask us. First thing we're going to do is start a new meeting. Now, one thing we need to note is there's 2 ways to start a new meeting. One is with your video on. If you click this drop-down arrow, you'll see Start with Video, or you can deselect that. Now, I bring this up because A, not a lot of people want to start a meeting with their video on, and B, when you start a meeting, depending on those settings, your meeting will open up and look a little bit different. Let me show you. When I start a meeting with my video on, it looks like this. There's my beautiful face. Here's an option for my audio. I'll just join with computer audio. And what we'll see here is our standard taskbar at the bottom here with all of our meeting options. And nothing really too out of the ordinary. So let's end meeting and compare it with the other way we can start a meeting without video on. So now if I change my setting to start video or start with video and I deselect that, we'll see the line across the video, and let's start a meeting in that setting. I'll join with computer audio again. If you don't want to see this default every time you open up a new meeting, you can always click on this window here, selecting automatically join audio by computer when joining a meeting, and then you won't be prompted every time you want to join a meeting. So as you can see, without a video, we have a few more details about our meeting, including the meeting topic if one is set, the host, the password for the meeting if there is one, an invitation URL, a participant ID, and then a few other option icons on the bottom here. So whether we want to join our audio, which shows me that my computer audio is connected, whether we want to share screen and invite others. Now we can do all those things here down in the bottom taskbar, just like we could with the previous version or the previous option of how to start a meeting. But when you start without your video selected, these options are presented right here as some of the most common features that people go to when starting a meeting. So why don't we start a new meeting and get kind of familiar with the user interface as starting a new meeting being a host. So when you start a new meeting, you are the host by default. I'm going to start it with my video on. Now that I'm in the meeting and I've joined with my computer audio, I'm going to turn off my video just for the sake of this recording. And I'm also going to just mute my microphone here. So let's run through the bottom taskbar here of options when you are the host. Some of these options you may not see because I have some settings configured slightly differently, but we'll run through them regardless. So let's start with two of probably the most important options when you start a meeting. The first one is your volume or your microphone settings. Whether you can mute yourself and unmute yourself in the bottom left corner here so people can hear you or they can't. You can change your microphone settings here as well. So you can select a microphone if you have multiple microphones set up. And you can select a speaker as well if you have desktop speakers on your computer or if you have other speakers configured. You can set those up here as well. And there's a few other audio settings that can be configured here. If you have any questions or you're having any audio problems, please reach out to us and we'll help you out as best we can. We should be able to help anybody out if they're having audio issues. Over here we have, beside our audio, our microphone, we have our video options. So as before, I muted my video or I turned it off. You just turn it back on and you'll be visible to everybody else in the meeting. If you turn that off, what they'll see here is either your name if you don't have a profile avatar or they'll see your profile avatar. You can change your profile avatar in your settings, which is found both in your Zoom app main screen here, or you can go to the online version and change your settings there as well. With Start Video, you see another, I guess, a drop-up arrow, which will open up a few other settings where you can select cameras, which is useful if you have a few different cameras set up with your computer. You can also go to your video settings and choose a virtual background if you want to have a little bit of fun. Again, if you have any issues with your video settings or your video isn't displaying, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to help you with all of that. So if you have any problems with your video or your audio, don't hesitate to contact us. Next on our taskbar, we've got our invite button. So another very important feature of Zoom meetings is obviously meeting with other people. So you'll want to invite people. You can do this before you arrange your meeting, or you can just start a meeting and invite people on the fly. Totally doable once you've started a meeting. So don't worry if you started a meeting and you haven't invited everyone, you can do that right here. So if we click on the invite button, and we haven't previously invited people, we can go through our contacts and select the people we wish to invite. Now, if we don't have any contacts or if we want to invite people outside of our contacts, we can click email. What this does is we'll pull up 3 options or several options of what we can use for the email client we want to invite people with. So if I were to use Gmail, for example, I select Gmail and my browser would open up and you'd see the Zoom meeting information here automatically put in the window. Here you can send the email to whomever you'd like to invite to the meeting, and you can also edit your subject line if you want. If you want to add any other information in the body of your email, you're obviously free to do so. and then you can send the email. Now, if you'd like to share a screen, you can do so. There's a few ways you can get into this. Later on in the video, I'm going to have somebody join up in the video, and I'm going to demonstrate how we can share screens and what the options are and what that looks like. For chat, again, we'll go through that when I have somebody joined in the audio here, or joined in the meeting. Record, we can record our sessions if we wish. So all we have to do is hit record. We would unmute ourselves, or we could continue without audio. And then your file will begin recording, and you can stop, you can see it up here. You can pause or stop the recording, and your recording will be downloaded after you end your meeting onto your file desktop, onto your desktop in a folder that will actually pop out when you're done, so you know exactly where to find that recording. Breakout rooms are an option that can be set. I have them set here, but there's a chance you may not see the breakout room option. We're going to leave that for now. And then we can set reactions to what people are saying if we wish, which are just simple emojis. And then of course we can end our meeting. So if you end a meeting, here's what happens. You can end the meeting for all, or you can just leave the meeting. So I'm going to end the meeting for all here at this point. Since I recorded a portion of our meeting, just as I showed you and discussed with you, here are my video recordings. So I've got the whole meeting, I've got the playback, and the audio only. I don't have any participants here in my meeting, but if I click on Manage Participants, a sidebar opens here on the right side. It shows my information and my status as host, which I am the host. And then below me will be a list of anybody else who is in the meeting and their status as well. Beside their name will be those two icons you see there, which are the microphone icon and the video icon. So their audio, whether they're muted or not. You'll see if I deselect mute, it shows my audio is working. If I start my video, you'll see that the video icon appears as well. As host, you also have the authority to mute people who are in your meeting. So you can mute everybody, you can unmute everybody, or you can hover over a specific person and mute them. Let's say if they're doing something that isn't part of the meeting and they forgot to mute themselves, you can do that for them. You can also click this More button and select whether you want to mute participants on entry. So if you're hosting a larger gathering of people and you want to make sure that they're not disruptive when they join your meeting, you can make that selection right there so that they have to deselect the mute button when they join the meeting. You can allow participants to unmute themselves here. Of course, if you don't want them to be able to do that, you deselect that. Allow participants to rename themselves. Of course, if you don't want them to be able to rename themselves in the meeting, you can deselect that. Those are selected by default. You can play an enter or exit chime when people join a meeting, just so you're notified. That is deselected by default, but if you want that option, you can select it, and you can lock a meeting so that you can have people join it while it's in progress. To get rid of the sidebar, just click that drop-down arrow and hit close. And that's how you manage participants as a host. Okay, now I'm going to invite Jordan into our meeting so that we can see a few options of what a meeting looks like when we have a participant with us and what as a host we're able to do in a meeting with other participants. So I start a new meeting, connect my audio, and I'm going to invite Jordan. There he is. Invite. All right, Jordan's joined our meeting, and I clicked Manage Participants, and that opens up this sidebar here. Now, Jordan has muted his own speaker and his own audio, and I can't actually unmute him, even though I'm the host. What I can do is I can ask him to start his video. I can also make him the host of the video. I can rename him and remove him if I wish. So I'm going to ask him to start the video. I am going to make him the host. Do you want to change host to Jordan? Yes, I do. So now Jordan is the current host. Now I'm going to, if I made a mistake and I want to reclaim my hosting ship, I'm going to click on Reclaim Host. and I am now the host again. Now I can mute everybody here, and I can unmute everybody as well. Now, if somebody has muted themselves, you can't actually unmute them. But if they haven't muted themselves, you can mute them and unmute them, if that makes sense. Now, if we wanted to chat, if I wanted to send Jordan a quick chat, or everybody in the channel, I can make that selection on the bottom right corner here. You can even share files. Say, hi, Jordan. And add our reactions if we choose. Now we can go full screen mode as well. And to end full screen mode, you can hit escape on your keyboard, or you can also click exit full screen on the top right. If you hit the icon in the top left corner, the information icon, you'll see some details about your meeting here. Now, if you've been sent an invite to join a meeting on email, it's pretty straightforward. All you have to do is click that link to join the meeting. But perhaps you are in your Zoom home screen here, and you just want to join a meeting, and you have been sent the link. Now, in the link, there will be a 9 or a 10-digit code, which is the meeting code. And what you can do is you click your join button, and you can enter that meeting ID code. So you enter your code, and you click join. I'm not going to connect my audio, and I'm just going to keep my video off for this join. And there we are. Now let's say we want to schedule a meeting for tomorrow at 9 a.m. and we want the meeting invite to go to all our desired participants. This is a great feature with Zoom because it really takes a lot of the headache out of your hands. All you have to do is in your home screen, click schedule, and then you can go through all of that meeting's schedule. So all the details that you want. You can create your topic, important meeting. You can set the start time. So I said 9 a.m. So let's change it to 9 a.m. But of course, we're going to have to change it to a date and time that is in the future. We're going to set a duration, or you can set a duration. We're just going to leave ours for 30 minutes. You can set if you want the meeting to be recurring, your time zone. You can generate an automatic meeting ID, or you can use your personal meeting ID. With Zoom, every account has a personal meeting ID, the PMID, and that is a 10-digit code you'll see here that has hyphens in it, so a 10-digit code, and that's your meeting ID if you ever want to send somebody a personal meeting ID. You can set a password as well with your meeting, so if you want to make sure that only specific people enter the meeting and not somebody who perhaps has your password meeting ID, or sorry, your personal meeting ID and just hopping in on your existing meeting, you can set a password so that they will be sent this in the invite, but only the people that have the password will be able to access the meeting. You can set the host video to on or off, and you can also set the participants video to on or off. You can set your audio as well, whether you want it to be telephone audio, computer audio, or telephone and computer audio. So people can join even if they don't have a computer in front of them. They can join by phone if they are traveling or don't have access to a computer or the internet. Calendar as well here, and what we will probably default to is Google Calendar here, but there are other options as well. And then you have a few other advanced options, which I won't get too much detail into here, but there are some waiting room options as well, and some muting options that we kind of discussed previously. So now that we have Google Calendar selected and the rest of our meeting configured with our details, let's click Schedule. And now it'll open up a browser here where I select my account that I've connected with Zoom. I provide Zoom the permissions. And then now in my Google Calendar connected to this Google account, I have my meeting details, just as they would if I was to create this in Gmail or in Google Calendar. So if there's anything I want to change here, I can change it here as well. I can edit some details in the details of the meeting here, and I can also add notifications. I can change some other various details of the meeting, but I wouldn't change any of the link information up here or in the body of the email. So once you click save, your meeting is saved in your schedule and you're ready to go. Okay, so now we're just going to cover how to share your screen in a meeting. There's a few ways. The first way is to just start a new meeting and then select share screen. But there's also the option here in your home screen to just go ahead and share your screen. So let's show you that option right off the hop here. So first you'll be prompted to enter a screen sharing meeting ID. I'll enter mine. You get to choose which screen you want to use. Now there's some cool options here. You can use a whiteboard. You can use an iPhone or iPad. And you can use whatever other window is popped up here, being my screen recording software. So let's choose screen. And one other thing we should note as well is this bottom checkbox is pretty important if you want to share sound. So you want to make sure you have that checkbox checked so that you are sharing your computer's sound, especially if you're playing a video or something along those lines. So once we've got that checked, we select our screen and we hit share. Now as you see, I've got this, if you can see it, we've got this green border around my screen, and we're sharing my screen. It's got my meeting ID here and some other information, and I can also stop sharing my screen at any time. Now if I stop sharing my screen, that will essentially end the meeting. So if that's your intent, then you can do that. So let's click Stop Share. And then our meeting just ended like that. Okay, so that's it for today on your Zoom tutorial and just getting you set up and getting the basics down. I hope it was informative, and if you have any questions or you have any troubles with Zoom, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to help you anytime. Thanks a lot and have a great day.